Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be looking at how happy are countries in the world. And the United States and the Western world really likes to be critical of China, but when we actually look at things, China's doing far better in terms of its government representing its people than a lot of Western countries. And so we're going to look at how China's doing right now. And then we're going to look at some instances of how the United States and how France and how these other Western countries are doing. And so Jason Smith here on Twitter says, China comes in first place in happiness by country instead of asking so-called experts. People themselves were surveyed. And this source is 2023 Ipsos poll, happiness across the world. And so let me just look at this really quickly. Okay, so you can't see it on your screen, but on my screen, China's first. Oh, United States is, I don't even see United States. Oh, United States is about midway down. Yeah, people are not happy in the United States, and happiness is declining. So let's look at how some other countries are doing. We have France here, and Arnaud Bertrand is looking at something that's occurred for the first time in France's history, a former prime minister saying that France is becoming a very diminished nation. So France used to be really second to the United Kingdom in terms of superpower status back a couple hundred years ago. And this person says, notably due to the country's reduction in freedom of thought and speech with regards to Israel, Dominique de Villepin, who was responding to accusations of anti-Semitism made against him because he's been very critical of Israel and of censorship of Israel's critics. Here's a complete translation of what he said, as extraordinarily well expressed. All roads lead to Rome, but not all paths of criticism lead to anti-Semitism. It is possible to criticize the United States without being necessarily anti-Semitic. So what he's saying here is that the United States is Zionist-controlled, and if you criticize them, you're typically considered to be anti-Semitic. He goes on to say, one can criticize the messianic Zionism of a part of the Israeli government without being anti-Semitic. One can support the idea of justice for the Palestinian people without being anti-Semitic. One can question an economic and cultural financial system. As far as I know, former French president of the Republic campaigned denouncing the power of finance. He was not anti-Semitic. So if you critique the power of finance, the power of the money class, the banking cartels, people call you anti-Semitic. That should tell you something about who controls the Western economy. Essentially in all, and this is a former prime minister saying that, essentially in all the questions you asked me, what is the goal, what is the purpose behind you and those who prepare this kind of questioning, is to make sure that I remain silent by constantly wanting to limit our ability to express ourselves, by no longer being able to say anything in the media under the pretext that it might mean this or that, or be inconvenient by tracking all forms of thought that can overshadow our strategy. Look at the United States. What is happening here? In the United States, within the Democratic Party, which is not known for its anti-Semitism, a major revolt is taking place regarding Israel, a generational revolt, a political revolt. And within the Jewish community itself, linked to the relationship between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, there is also a revolt organizing. You know what I think about the first and foremost by telling you this is the interest of Israel, the interest of the Jewish community. It is necessary to help oneself. That is not to put oneself in a situation where one risks feeling criticism. So I believe it takes a lot of lucidity, a great deal of rigor, and a little bit of courage to try to assert one's ideas and convictions. So we see here that he's saying some things that are critical of the United States, and he considers it that it's people would accuse him of anti-Semitism for saying these types of things. So it should tell you something about how Zionist controlled the Western world is. And we see that in their control of the Western world, the Zionists control the Western world, they typically do try to topple the native population and create divisions, ethnic, religious, gender divisions, any divisions, sexual orientation divisions. They create any divisions they can because they are a very small ruling elite, and they need to have people pitted against each other so that the people are not against the merchant class of Western societies. And so here we see a recap of things that have happened in Ireland recently, as mentioned by Keith Woods here on Twitter. Algerian migrant stabs 3 children and 2 adults outside school. Gripped is the only publication that publishes the man's nationality. Other media publications attack them for informing the public. After riots in Dublin, newspapers run front page Front pages focus on the riot with little mention of the stabbings. Uproar is blamed on far-right spread of rumors of the criminal's background, despite those rumors being true. Irish government responds by promising more stringent hate speech laws to quell dissent. So if you say factually true things that go against the narrative of Western Zionist occupied governments, you're being silenced. Even if they are murdering your people, you're just not allowed to point it out. Conor McGregor, who is a vocal critic of the government policy on immigration, is now under investigation for dissemination of online hate speech. Hazel Chu, former mayor of Dublin, goes on the radio to say government needs to examine possibility of silencing social media due to Elon Musk criticizing the Irish government. It emerges the migrant who stabbed children was arrested on a knife crime charge earlier this year, but released. So again, the criminal justice system is not working in terms of stopping people from committing crimes. It's okay. I guess I will get into this a little bit. People come up with the most ridiculous sayings in terms of not wanting to punish criminals. One saying that I love to go over, one quote I love to go over is the idea of an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. That's an absolutely absurdly ridiculous statement. If you just follow that scenario through, you realize that if someone is going around taking out someone's eyes, there has to be repercussions for their actions, so they quit taking out people's eyes. And so the thing is, in all actuality, an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind is the complete opposite of the truth, because if you provide severe enough consequences, the person who's taking other people's eyes out will stop taking other people's eyes out because there are consequences for their actions. Eventually, they won't be able to take other people's eyes out because the consequences for their actions will be fatal in a just society. But we see that if you allow someone to take out people's eyes without severe enough repercussions, they will literally make the entire world go blind. So the statement, an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind, is literally the complete opposite of the truth. But people love catchy statements like that. And so here we see a criminal who was let out for stabbing crimes. He was not provided severe enough consequences for his actions, and he went to do it again, and children pay the consequence for it. It's just frustrating, the direction Western society is going in. And this should tell you something. This should tell you that Western countries are on the decline, while China is doing extremely well because they do not allow a subversive merchant class to control their country like the Western countries allow. So going on, Keith Wood says, we also learned that the migrant was issued a deportation order in 2003, so 20 years ago, fought it with the help of NGOs. So NGOs are controlled by Zionists, and they are trying to destroy countries, and eventually received an Irish passport. Another poll is released showing the majority of Irish people believe Ireland is taking too many migrants. Okay, so here, if Ireland was a democracy, an actual democracy, this would not happen. People would say something, they want fewer immigrants, and it would be implemented into policy. When people in China want something, their government is made up of a very efficient, bureaucratic, administrative class, and so they implement the will of the people. And they do it in the best way possible, and so the people are satisfied with that. In Western countries, you have the facade of a democracy, but people's will is essentially never actually implemented. And so we're going to end with this. Keith Wood saying, absolutely, the Irish people have a right to say no. Polls consistently show the majority of people oppose the current inflow of immigration, yet it's smeared as far right and used to justify speech laws. So not only are people's will not being taken into account, but speech laws are being put into place to silence them, so they're not even allowed to say that the majority of people agree with certain things, certain perspectives. So here we see it says concern around housing of refugees and asylum seekers. The question is, I think the number of refugees Ireland is taking is now too many. 75% agree with that. Only 19% disagree. Okay. That's ridiculous. That should tell you something. 75%. That is an overwhelming majority, and not even a full 25% actually disagree. It's only 19% disagree. Then a person says, I can appreciate some of the anger people feel about asylum seekers being moved into their local area. 76%, a slightly higher amount, probably within the margin of error, agree with this. Okay. And then it says, I would be concerned about asylum seekers being relocated to my area. 55% agree. So still a majority, 38% disagree there. So here's the thing. Ireland is not an actual democracy. It does not represent the people. France, it's not a democracy. It does not represent the people. Germany, it's not a democracy. It doesn't represent the people. The United States is not a democracy. It does not represent the people. They all represent the merchant class, which are Zionist. They do not have the interests of these Western countries at their heart because they know that they can always flee to Israel if they want to. They are called rootless cosmopolitans for a reason. Okay. So that's what I'll leave you with. The West is on fire. Most people don't seem to care, although more and more people are waking up. And China is doing amazing right now, and they are actually doing what democracies are supposed to do, which is represent the people and satisfy the people. So that's what I'll leave you with. If you found this video to be informative, maybe even a new perspective you've never heard before, please give us a thumbs up. It does help us in the algorithm, even though the algorithm is clearly suppressing us. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Rumble for more content. Show our videos to other people. If you want this perspective to be heard far and wide, we are being suppressed, and we would love through word of mouth to get the word out about our channel. Send it on Telegrams, Discords, wherever you want to present this information about our channel. We would love to have more viewers of our content. Please leave us a comment in the comment box. Any questions, concerns, critiques you might have. We love to hear from you. I do respond when necessary, and I do read all of the posts. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.